First of all, I request that you give me good wishes because tomorrow I am entering the 76th year of my very, very hectic life. I'll make some correction about what Maulik Bhai said. He knows much about me, but it's not 5 decades, it's 6 decades.
Wow. I stand corrected, sir.
I started writing in 1959, and my first article was on William Herschel, the discoverer of planet Uranus, which is called Herschel, of course, in Gujarati. First of all, I want to ask you, do you want me to speak in English or is it Gujarati will be better?
Gujarati or mix of both? Mix of both?
No, but no, is there anyone who doesn't understand Gujarati? I don't want to. Oh my God.
Okay, there are few.
There are few.
Yeah, so
okay.
I think we will keep possibly
okay.
mix of both.
See,
if that's okay.
Predicting future is a very hazardous job. See, there have been instances in the past where stalwarts have made predictions, foretold the future, and later on they had to eat their hats. One of them was Lord Kelvin, who said that heavier than air, craft cannot fly. Now, he is the same Lord Kelvin who gave us the concept of absolute zero. And absolute zero has no degree, so when you write K, there is no superscript 0 on it. But such a big guy, a stalwart, fell flat on his prediction. There was another admiral, I've forgotten the name, but in 1945, early 1945, he wrote a letter to President Truman and said that atomic bomb will never go off, and I speak as an expert of explosives. The poor guy missed one point. Explosive is chemical reaction and atomic bomb is nuclear reaction. That slipped out of his mind. There are others. There was one man who was named Watson. He said, I see only demand for only 3 computers in the world. Only 3. But he was president of IBM, the company which was to flourish on computers later on. So there are, even Thomas Edison said that alternative current is as unnecessary as it is dangerous. But the reason my voice is vibrating your eardrums is that we are losing alternating current here. So without alternating current, this world would not be possible. Of course, DC is coming back. So, as I said, predicting his future is a hazardous job, but still I have to walk on the minefield, and I'll do it as cautiously as possible. Let's see what happens. See, when we talk of technology and its effect on mankind, it presupposes that there is application. And the application presupposes that there is acceptance. Now, there have been innumerable instances in the past when lot of technologies were ignored. Were ignored because circumstances were such that you did not see any application. And there are technologies which were ignored because of foolhardy decisions. I'll give you the instance of the very first thing which I mentioned. Ancient Mexicans, that is Aztecs, used to make toys with wheels, small wheels, and it would move. But it never occurred to them that the wheels can be enlarged, converted into big cart, and it can be used as a transport vehicle. But the circumstances forced them not to go in that direction because they had not domesticated cattle. So there, no cattle, nothing could be hitched through the cart, so nothing happened. Then there are foolhardy decisions. For example, QWERTY. QWERTY was, ski board was feat of anti-engineering. It was not feat of engineering, it was feat of anti-engineering. It was meant to slow down the operator. Now, the keys that were placed, the placement of the keys was kept such a way that the key would not be jammed when the typist is typing very fast. So it was, the idea was to slow him down as much as possible. So it was a retrograde step, but then they did it. But even today, when there are no keys in computer keyboard, we are stuck to it. We are stuck to it because there are vested interests. DOARC, for example. DOARC is another keyboard arrangement which is 95% more efficient than QWERTY. 95%. In QWERTY, the most often used keys or alphabets were placed on the left hand side, so that right hand side person will be keying with his weaker hand, left hand, assuming that most people are right handed. Then there are foolhardy decisions. I mean, this is also a foolhardy decision, but then of course we are stuck with it. I mean, nobody will, DOARC is available in the market, but nobody uses it. Then there are some foolhardy decisions which have been taken in the past. I tell you one thing. Jack Kilby of Texas Instrument, invented microchip in 1959. At least that was the year. That was the year when he patented microchip. Now it so happened that at that time, USA manufacturers were still churning out vacuum tubes. Of course, vacuum tubes are really hi-fi, they produce very hi-fi sound, yes, of course. But they did not want to compete with their domestic product. So it languished. Then another decision was taken in 1963, whereby 85% of the ham radio operators were deprived of certain privileges. So the ham radio market slumped. Now the important aspect of this ham radio, amateur radio hobby is that most people, most youngsters create homebrew. Homebrew, they tinker with all spare parts and they make their own ham radio. Now that languished. And there was no one to accept the electronics. Now this process of making microchip and using it and applying it in number of instruments, appliances, found no takers in USA, but it had to go somewhere. Now, had it headed in the western direction, it would have crossed to Liberia, Somalia, Burkina Faso, if you have heard about it, Sudan, and many other countries. None of them was receptive to this because they were not prepared. They were not empowered. It bypassed India also. because we are doing charkha business. We were doing it, charkha business, even at that time, after the demise of Mahatma. But during the Second World War, for Japan, the war theater was Pacific. At that time, best brains in electronics, not electronics as such, but wireless communication. They were hired by the army of General Tojo. Tojo was prime minister as well as autocrat. So they went on code breaking. And there was a class of students, youngsters, who were well versed in code breaking, wireless communication, intercepting everything, in electronics also. So Sony bought the rights of microchip. From that day on, all consumer electronics has been appropriated and monopolized by Japan. And it has damaged the balance of payment with its balance of payments, US's balance of payments with Japan. So too difficult, too foolhardy decisions. So the point is that before we talk about the impact of modern technology on, say, future, then so totally imponderable, and you need an astrologer to predict what will be the outcome. Now today, we have entered the age where the technology is highly disruptive. For the first time in the history of humankind, you are required to learn something, unlearn it, and learn something else. So it's never ending game. And we have number of instances where the disruption has caused havoc. Number of instances. So what I mean to say is that even today, as Maulik Bhai also said, that we never know what will happen tomorrow. Somebody may come up with a very, very, very innovative thing, and it can change everything. Consider, for example, I mean, we are in the age where if you assign 100% to the entire population of the world, only 2% of the people are engineers, technocrats, and innovators and scientists. Only 2%. What the rest are doing? The rest are managing what these 2% have innovated. They are managing, yes. Consider one example of mobile phone. Now there was citizen band. Earlier there was citizen band. Thereafter, some mobile phones were made, but then of course it could be carried only in the cars, nothing else. That one gentleman devised a mobile phone which was handy, but also, of course it was a very big thing compared to what we have today. But then mobile phone was invented. Now consider how many people are engaged in this field. What's the impact it has? It is no longer phone. I mean, I say it's don't call it mobile phone. First of all, it is stationary. I mean, you are mobile. You are carrying this mobile phone is in your pocket or in your hand. So you are mobile, not the phone itself. So it's like landline. Only thing is that there is no wire connection. But then, mobile phone blossomed into something else. We seldom use mobile phone for talking. I mean, considering the other uses which we are putting it to. It's WhatsApp, it's Twitter, it's Google, what not. So I think it's time you ditch the name phone, call it smart Alec or something else. Now, we have entered the stage where entered the era. Earlier on, if I go back very far back in the human history, then we have seen eras which were designated by the materials available at that time. Thus, we have Stone Age, we have Bronze Age, we have Copper Age, that is what Tamra Yug we say in Hindi. Today's age, you can say it's a Silicon Age or a Germanium Age. But then, those civilizations collapsed because they had no alternatives to copper. I tell you one thing, when Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison, of course it was preceded by Michael Faraday, but then when electricity and distribution of electricity came into being, there was one scientist, I forgot the name, but there was one scientist that by 1920, there will be no electricity because it will be exhausting copper. So there are no wires. But it's very much here. And now you can send your messages through optical fibers. Most messages, I mean 98% of the messages are sent by optical fibers. If you talk to somebody in USA or you search Google, it's all optical fiber. Only 2% or 3% contribution is that of satellites because they don't have longevity. They don't have capacity. I mean, the traffic management is bad. So, today's we have number of alternatives. Suppose one technology fails, or one technology has been subjected to premeditated obsolescence, which most companies do. I'll give you, I mean, I'm sidetracking, but I will give you one example. In the 80s, some Japanese companies pulled together, and those days were of C90 and C60 audio tapes, small pieces. And they actually invented same configuration of C90 and C90, but it was digital. Then suddenly somebody came up with the idea that digital disc is better because you can sell it at 600 rupees per piece. Now it is dime a dozen, of course, I know. But then in those days, so they decided to throttle the digital audio tape. It existed. They destroyed it. The entire research and everything that went into the innovation of this particular device, which was very, very handy, it could have served the purpose. I mean, because the voice was digital. No clicks, nothing, no disturbance. Like AM, which we always experience. So, this is called planned obsolescence. We are living in that era. We are living. Suppose one company comes up with one mobile company comes up with 3 innovations or 5 innovations. It will incorporate only one. Then it will make it obsolescent by introducing another which was lying on the shelf and continue with it. So that is how they make money out of it. Today, planned obsolescence, that is premeditated planned obsolescence, is there, very much there. But then technology is moving so fast that only a few years ago, we were saying that virtual reality is the in thing and the future is virtual reality. Then thereafter augmented reality replaced it. And very soon, augmented reality will have to vacate its seats so that mixed reality can sit on that seat. So this is how the science and technology is progressing. It's very fast. It is very difficult to keep up with it. It's very difficult to keep up with it. Now the point is that which technology is good for mankind's future, which technology ensures the future of mankind. Because when I was asked to say something about the technology and future, then technology was okay, but I had my reservations about future, whether it exists or not. We don't know. So the point is that any technology which does not address and ensure the future of mankind will be of no use, because there are other realities. There are other realities which will overwhelm them, and they'll be of no use at all. I tell you that whatever technologies we are talking about, see, the in things are, I tell you, in one a very short laundry list, I will tell you. It's Internet of Things, blockchain, and bioprinting, 3D printing. Now, each technology has its downsides and upsides. Consider 3D technology, 3D printing, simple 3D printing, not bioprinting. Now, it can have tremendous effect, positive effect on the economy, global economy. There is one innovator company which designs one object. It could be artifact or it could be anything. I mean, whatever it can be, you can do any visualization. Instead of exporting it as a tangible project, it can export the digital data abroad to any other company with an embargo that you can print only 10,000 objects and you will pay for it. If you print 10,001, the 3D printer or our software will not respond. Now consider what impact would it have. No shipping, no transport, no custom duty, no pollution of sea, no sulfur emission from ships, and no ejection of bunker oil, which is ruining the marine life. There are dead zones nowadays in many places. Nothing of the sort. I mean, you don't have to build ships, that is cargo ships at least. Now this is the upside. Now consider another aspect of downside. For the downside, I'll take the example of bioprinting. Now the upside is that if you want to have muscular body, then don't go to gym. You print your muscles with bioprinting. And the gym people will be out of business. Or if you broke your bone in some accident, why not go in for nanotube, unbreakable? For that you will need 3D printer rather than bioprinter. But to cover it up, you will need muscles, you will need bioprinter. So both are available. That is the upside. But there is downside also. There is downside also, yes. There will be many people. I mean, we are safe on one ground that some Frankenstein scientist, mad scientist, may like to create a monster. But there we are on the safe ground because you need your own cells, your own body cells to make another part of your body, another organ of your body. But then there is no guarantee is not enough. There are other aspects. Suppose I want to have change face, I want face implant. And I decide, like me, many people decide that I would like to have the face of Akshay Kumar. Now the makeup man who doing makeup of Akshay Kumar, one fine morning he says, I'm applying something really innovative thing, so you will be looking very young. But then by the process he creates the mask, and he sells mask of Akshay Kumar. And everybody is wearing that mask, bioprint. It's bioprinting, so it's real stuff. I mean it's not something which you saw in the film mask. So even if I wear that, well, I can kick him out of Bollywood.
I'm sure, sir, you definitely have that energy.
But of course, my precondition would be that I wouldn't do the Bollywood dance because I have severe back trouble. So these are the pitfalls. Talking from the biochemical point of view, not biomechanical, but biochemical point of view. Suppose my one kidney has failed. I bioprint my that kidney. A very knowledgeable person or maybe a robot will implant it. Then I have two kidneys. Now the moot point is that if my right kidney, which is natural, is also fails, then bioprinted kidney will take over the burden of natural kidney. It happens, provided your both kidneys are. If there is failure of one kidney, then the other kidney takes over the burden of that kidney also. So you are safe. But this is not going to happen. Moreover, there have to be many critical clinical trials about whether the bioprinted organ will work according. Because all organs they are not in isolation. They are not standalone organs. They are interconnected with many other things. For example, your kidney is connected with your heart. Very few people know it. And in this era of specialization, you know everything about one organ and you know nothing about all others. So these are the pitfalls. Talking about Internet of Things, it's very hyped nowadays. Now, there you put all eggs in one basket. You interlink everything, put it in the cloud. But if you forget to upgrade the servers, change them occasionally, you are doomed. And when a hacking attack takes place, it's not a case of pickpocketing. Your entire treasury is stolen because you lose everything. Suppose somebody hacks my Internet of Things network. And my practice is to start, before I start for my home, I switch on my air conditioner so that when I enter my house, I enter a cool environment, so I don't have to wait 5-10 minutes. But consider one crazy person who starts my microwave oven wherein nothing is left. I mean, nothing has been kept. There has to be something in the microwave oven before you start it. There has to be something to absorb the microwave oven. By the time I go there, the magnetron tube would be gone, because all the rays which the magnetron emitted are reflected back to it, and it has destroyed it. So this again you have to take into account. So eventually what happens is that we have a number of technologies, we have blockchain and everything. Two main factors that we have to bear in mind is that no technology is perpetual. So you have to be very careful about the new technology which you are adopting. And another thing is that technology has to have some relationship with, some positive relationship with two main problems which we are encountering at present. One is climate change, the other is energy crisis. Now, if any of these technologies addresses these two problems, it will be really boon for the mankind. And our future is bright in that case. We are safe at least. May not be bright, but we are safe, of course. But that is not the way it is going to happen. There are going to be some black sheeps. Suppose my car is on, I'm driving not driving, but I'm sitting on the back seat of my driverless car. Somebody hacks my car. I've given the destination, and then I start reading my newspaper. My eyes and my head is tucked into newspaper. I'm reading it, I'm busy. Car is doing its own business. But somebody has changed the destination. When I find that I have not reached my office, then I just look out and see that, oh, I'm on Ahmedabad-Baroda Express Highway instead of Prahlad Nagar. So what does it mean? It means that I have to be very watchful, keep on looking at the roads. But wasn't it I was doing the same thing when my car was not driverless? Then I was commanding the steering wheel. That's exactly what I was doing at that time. So why have driverless cars? And driverless cars don't distinguish between senior citizens like me and youngsters like this chap. It would not allow me to cross. I mean, it won't show the decency that here is Nagendra Vijay, who is, I mean, maybe Nagendra Vijay or any Tom, Dick and Harry who is plus 75. So we should allow him to go, slow down. No, driverless car would not know that, because it doesn't know my birth date. So these are the things. So in all, it boils down to one fundamental fact which we have to accept. It's not that how technology in itself will affect our future. No. It all boils down to a fundamental fact that what is our attitude to that technology? What kind of attitude we take? How do we distinguish between downside and upside? So this is very important. So the best thing is that create technologies which eventually are good for saving this planet from runaway greenhouse effect and energy crisis. Just so far as I know, and so whatever I've read so far, I've gathered the impression that very few technologies are moving in that direction. Because we are talking about high-tech technologies, of which some of the applications we still don't know. So Carl Sagan used to say there are other technologies which are just ignored. I mean, simple technologies. So you know, Carl Sagan, very prominent astrophysicist, I agree on all his statements except one. Once he said that special problems need special solutions. No, not necessarily. Special problems can be solved with simple solutions. In one of my recent issues, I wrote about electric car. Now, ever since in 1973, OPEC countries hiked the prices, and there was a long queues, there was havoc, there was economic slump, and since then we are talking about electric car. Consider 73 to 2019. Where we are now? Nowhere. Nowhere, because this is chicken and egg problem. First, considering that all electric cars are limited by their battery power to say some 80 kilometers per charge, no automobile manufacturer will manufacture on a large scale electric cars, because it will wait for the entire network of recharging stations to come up. Now the entire network, the people who in charge of, who think of creating that network would like to have hundreds and millions of cars to be serviced. Otherwise it won't be viable. So who begins first? This is where we are stuck. But there is a simple solution. The other day I read about China's economy. There is a book about China. I have 5-6 books on China's economy. Therein it was mentioned that China has 85,000